speech in 3, 2, 1. So, for today, I as Prime Minister, I would like to start off my speech by introducing or defining today's motion. So first off, what is expedite? Expedite, the act of expediting something, is to speed up the process. Okay, it is to speed up the process of any event, or it is to speed up the process of any kind of action, basically. Then, what is this? What are these citizenship applications? These citizenship applications are the applications of people with non-citizenship of this certain country to gain the right or the name to live in that said country. Basically, the name. So, what are refugees? So, we as the government has decided to define refugees as normally vulnerable members of society like children, women, and the elderly who have defected from their home country in hopes that they might be able to escape the war that is happening in their home country. Next, what are war-torn nations? War-torn nations refer to countries under siege from aggressor countries. For example of this definition, it is that, let's take Russia and Ukraine as an example. So, Ukraine is the nation that is currently having this war. So, they are the ones that are affected by this war. They are the war-torn nations. So, how will we carry out today's motion? We as SSIDC government have decided that we should put more resources and manpower into sectors who are accepting these citizenship applications. So, like as of status quo, refugees who have ran away from their home countries due to any kind of reason have to take years in order for their applications to be even reviewed, yet alone be accepted. So, we as SSIDC government will prioritize these refugees from war-torn nations, as their situation is more dire compared to those people with that came from non-war-torn nations. So, what are we as SSIDC government trying to prove today? Well, we as SSIDC government, we are trying to show our hard stance against this war, against any form of war. We as SSIDC government believe that peace we as SSIDC government fully believe in peace, and that we are fully against the war, especially in nations we started. Yes, exactly.
Are you going to provide a shorter time frame for these officers to decide?
No, we will not provide a shorter time frame, but we will prioritize them. Most of the reasons that these applications take so long in the first place is because there are hundreds of thousands of applications, almost like year-round, basically. So, in order to quicken up the process, we will prioritize them. We will put them first to review their cases, so that they will be able to receive their citizenship faster. I hope that explains your POI. Next, so we as SSIDC government today, we will be able to prove that expediting this citizenship proves that not only will we be able to provide health benefits, but we are also able to protect them effectively from whatever is happening, like basically from the war that's happening in their home country. So for opposition team to win today's case, they must be able to prove why letting or allowing the delay of this citizenship application gives the country more incentives. Gives more incentives to the country, and how this is even morally right or morally just. So, let me move on to a very hypothetical example. Let's say Russia has invaded Ukraine and they have won the war. They basically have taken over Ukraine as part of their nation. So, what if they were to ask these refugees back? They will say like, oh, we have taken over Ukraine, so all of their citizens belong to us now, so give back our citizens. Then, like, how do you think they will feel? Like, Russia, they will most likely treat these refugees, these citizens that they have taken back from Ukraine, they're gonna treat them like they're gonna treat them very badly. Basically, they're gonna say like, oh, they're gonna force them to do hard labor. They're gonna force them to do like things that definitely violates the human rights. So if we speed up this process and we are able to give them their citizenship as fast as possible or as early as possible, we are effectively be able to provide them protection and shelter them from this kind of hypothetical situations. So how will we be able to effectively protect them, you ask? If we give them their citizenships, these countries or these, like let's say Russia, they will no longer be able to claim back these ex-citizens of Ukraine as their own, because now they possess the citizenship of another country, so they cannot take them back. That's good for those refugees because they might not have to face they might not have to face these hardships if they were to go back. So furthermore, they are able to own assets in this country. They will be finally able to buy homes. They'll be able to buy living places. They finally have their name on this land that they can call their own as their housing area or as the place that they stay. So this not only that, they will be able to apply for jobs because now they have residency. They are able to get residency and they can apply for jobs. They can earn money in order to support their family that is actually facing all these hardships, because there are refugees like this. They obviously have to face poverty because they have to live in very harsh conditions like tents. They have to live on the streets. This is very bad. And if they are able to work, they'll be able to get money, they are able to support their family. Now, they're also able to get healthcare benefits, like because they are able to get insurance. They have a permanent residency, they can get insurance, they can apply for insurance, they can apply for visas, they can apply for credit cards. And finally, lastly, this is very important, they'll be able to send their children to school. Who doesn't want to send their children to school? They need education. So if they are able to get this work, they are able to work for their family, they are able to gain a source of income, they are able to afford all of these healthcare, education, because it is very important, right? So in conclusion of what I have said today, clearly that supporting this motion and speeding up the process of citizenship applications we are able to provide these refugees with their citizenship, and they are basically able to gain the right and they are able to live a better life rather than having to live as refugees from these war-torn countries. And with that, I would like to rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, PM. I now call LO here.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's better late than never. Ladies and gentlemen, what this motion is talking about, it's not changing the process, it's expediting the process. You cannot change the system as a whole, you can only make it faster. I explain later why your mechanism isn't fair for this debate. Firstly, let's talk about what side opposition wants in this debate today. Our stance is to make sure these applications are able to go through a complete and rational process, so they have a higher chance to actually get the citizenship. Two things that we want to prove in this debate today is number one is fastening the process will increase burden into these immigration officers. Secondly, on your side, you make the situation worse. Let's go into my rebuttals. First things first, the motion isn't talking about increasing the possibility, not increasing the quota placement of refugees in your country. You're only making it faster. I'll explain later why does that happen, but your mechanization doesn't make sure that they have a higher chance of citizenship. Thus, it's not exclusive. Citizenship is only on your side. Secondly, is in status quo, these refugees from war-torn countries are already prioritized in status quo. You cannot put it as your motion or you cannot make it as your mechanism because that is status quo. That is what side is opposition already have. There is in status quo, there is a whole other section, a whole other form for these war-torn countries to apply. It is not in the same system, it's decided by different people. That is not a mechanism that we can accept from side government. Secondly, they talk about refugees from Russia. If they enter Ukraine and Ukraine gets invaded, these people, refugees, are going to be treated badly. However, in your side, that does not change. Even with a citizenship of Ukraine, Russia will still remember and have records who were the citizenship, and I think these refugees will have a worse time on your side, because these refugees that have a Ukraine citizenship have pledged loyalty into Ukraine. If Russia saw their own citizen pledge loyalty to another country with a citizenship, a proof of loyalty, I think it's going to be worse. However, again, that is not even part of the debate, because we want to talk about expediting the process, not increasing the quota for blah blah blah. Now let's look at my first argument. Firstly, we said that fastening process will force these officers to make a decision fast. Side opposition thinks that this decision will be a lot more no's than yes, because it is so fast. This is because the number of immigrations stay the same. The number of immigration influx is so high. These people who may experience before the war 10 people, they will now need to decide for 100 people for each officer, and they need to make the decision fast. Yes, maybe you can increase the number of manpower of people that can decide for these people. However, but understand that you're still shortening the time frame they have to decide. In our side, they have airspace, time to breathe, to think rationally. Should these refugees get a yes or a no to enter my country, with the normal standard of them saying no? Secondly, why do we then say a shortened time space is more likely to say no? There is a standard that the ministry and the country has set, and even personal agendas of these officers. The process is, currently, it is a no first before you get a yes. It is automatically no before a yes. Every application is automatically no before a yes. However, in the motion, it wants to force these officers to say no, yes, now. Decide now. You have no time to think. Please decide now, so they can get a citizenship. That's what they're saying, but I think it's going to make a decision that is irrational and have more no's. Again, secondly, it's because it is a shorter, or it makes for feeling of the moment. Maybe I feel like I kind of don't want to accept some. I will only accept some. Because of the shorter time frame, you allow for more mood swings and allow for more irrational things to happen. Because because they will say maybe just no. I'll talk about that loyalty. Before that, yes.
As before, you have stated like we are shortening the time span, but I've never said that we are shortening the time span. We are prioritizing these refugees, not shortening
Ladies
the time
and gentlemen, their side doesn't even have a mechanism. These people are already prioritized in status quo. So tell me what you are actually doing something new. What is the something new proposed by side government? Secondly, let's talk about why these immigration officers are going to say no more because of loyalty. These people have loyalty to their country. They have a loyal burden, a moral burden that they want to help their country. They feel and need to ensure the high standards, the high eligibility of standards to get a citizenship is high, so that their own citizenship isn't so low and so easily to get. They feel if they give a citizenship, they feel that citizenship is something that is very, very hard to give, and they don't want to make the mistake of giving it to someone wrong or letting them in just for fun. Because of this, a shorter time frame will make it more. Will make them say no more, because every refugee is a risk, and naturally is going to say no to a risk before a yes. Shorter time frame is going to be, they want to play safe. Because of the shorter time frame, just say no. On your motion, you make these time frames so faster, less time to decide of it. Secondly, why is it that I say shorter time frame makes it irrational? I said why loyalty, why the standards are so high. Let's talk about irrationality. My second argument is rationality. On our side, people are rational because they don't have such pressure to push them to make a decision so fast. Without a shortened time frame, without pressure to make it fast, they are able to understand and read each corner of the application of these refugees to find points that they can accept them as citizens for. This means on each application and outside, there is time for these officers to get convinced by the application. Maybe it's gonna be now the situation is gonna be maybe okay lah. I can get them, I can give them the citizenship because I don't need to have pressure. I don't need to say no, just like that. And all on top of it, because of the higher time frame, they can check on other standards, they can sleep on it, and they can think and empathize on what these applications need, which is what we need and what is needed to let higher citizenship and to let these people actually in these countries in the first place. If you really unless you want to make the problem worse, unless you want to have these people not have a home worse, longer, side with side opposition. Thank you.
Thank you, LO. I now call DPM. Here.
I get like a few seconds to make my notes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, my speech will begin in 3, 2, 1. Chair, side opposition clearly has no moral compass and a lack of compassion for human life. It is our duty to protect those who are unable to protect themselves. Side opposition only prioritizes their country image instead of taking into consideration the human life and how we should protect them. So today, my speech will consist of 3 rebuttals and 2 points. So starting my rebuttals, firstly, they claim that we are changing the system and this shouldn't be done. But now on our side, we're not saying that we are actually going to shorten the time frame. We're simply saying that we are actually going to prioritize and provide more manpower, provide more resources, put more resources into getting the citizenship for these refugees. Because you actually have to understand, it's a matter of urgency. These refugees actually are forced to leave their country. It's not actually their choice to leave. They are forced to leave, and then why should we deprive them of their benefits? So yeah, actually have to understand, the reason why a citizen application can actually take so long is because there's actually a really long list of people waiting to become citizens. And when you actually initially apply, you're actually put at the bottom of that list. So what we want to do is we actually want to move them all the way up to the top. We want them to be prioritized first. We want to provide more manpower, more people, so that they're actually able to have like a more refined system, which actually like brings you on to their second rebuttal. And they say that it's like a burden to immigration officers because, I mean, they didn't really touch on it, but they said that the immigration officers will like make irrational decisions because of the feeling of the moment, because they're like more pressured to make a decision. But then you actually have to understand that we are actually putting them through the normal citizen application process, just like they are the first ones to receive it ahead of the like outside immigrants actually come in and also apply for citizenship. Because in a war, right, these people are actually forced to leave the country. It's actually a matter of urgency that we get these people to be citizens of our country. Then thirdly, they say that if a citizen of Russia goes to Ukraine, then Russia will still know. But then actually you have to understand, also nations are like nations that are actually directly affected by the war. That's why the refugees have to leave in the first place. The Russian people aren't like actually like really scared, right? Their nations are actually torn apart. It's actually Ukraine, which the battleground is being fought. It's actually Ukraine rejected. It's actually Ukraine that's actually like being fought over, and that's why there's a war torn nation. That's why the refugees, the women, children, elderly people, the vulnerable people of society are actually unable to fight the war. That is why they are moving to a different country, because they actually have no business being there in the first place, because they're just going to be like casualties, right? They're just like dead weight in the war. It's actually not providing anything, and we don't want any like casualties to occur. That's why we want to get them out of the country. So when I'm a country and I see like a Ukrainian citizen actually wants to like come to my country, obviously I'll provide them refuge, right? Obviously I want to like have them apply for citizenship rejected, because it's actually not their choice that they want to leave. They're actually forced to leave the country. So moving on to my point. So firstly, we actually have the obligation to protect human life, because the refugees obviously have done nothing wrong. They're just caught in the crossfire because their leaders made some like radical decision, because of some like political movement. The citizens are not actually like directly involved in this. It's not actually their choice. So these women and children who are actually not drafted into the war have no business being there, and because of that, that's why we get them out of the country. That's why we get them to go to like a neighboring country. So these citizen applications can take up to years, And then if these refugees, they actually have like no choice to be in the country, right? So you have to understand, like a citizen, the whole country is not just made out of citizens. The refugees are already staying in your country, just that they are deprived of all the benefits that a citizenship can provide, such as getting like a passport or like getting free healthcare, or being like, better able to apply to jobs or universities. So take for example like UK, their universities, they actually accept a lot more like local citizens than they actually do international students, because they actually open up more opportunities because they want their local citizens to be able to grow. So when I'm an international student, and let's say I apply for Cambridge, there's actually a really low chance I get accepted, even if my grades are really high, because they actually prioritize these like UK people. So therefore, when I have a citizenship in the UK, it's actually easier for me to do so. So again, on side opposition, they're saying that, oh, you can stay in my country, but I'm just not actually going to give you like any benefits. So we're actually not going to give you any benefits. So we cannot deprive them of the benefits rejected. We actually cannot deprive them of these benefits because again, it's not their choice, right? They actually had a citizenship in their home country. They actually have all the benefits of a citizen. But then now, when they are forced to leave the country and they move to our country, then when they are like staying in our country, they may not have free access to healthcare. As my PM said, they may not be able to apply for jobs properly, and then they are not able to provide for their family because it's already like the men are off fighting the war, right? It's up to the mother to make money for the children, to send their children to school. So when they are citizens, we actually can better provide education. We can provide them with like education. We can provide them with financial support. We can actually like help them to send their kids to schools, to government schools, and then it's just like gonna be a better living environment for the refugees themselves. So on our side, they actually like do not prioritize these human life because they say that, oh, we have to protect our country image. We don't want to just accept anyone. But then these refugees are actually still going through the normal application process. If they're not like eligible candidate to be a citizen, obviously we do not have to like grant them that, right? But then what we want to do is we want to be able to put them through the normal citizen application process so that they are able to get all the benefits that a citizenship brings. So this brings me on to my second point, which is that this will like deter aggressors from actually starting a war in the first place. Because we have to show that we do not stand for war, right? We have to take a hard stance against war, because we have to say this war isn't something that we actually like, we actually want. We actually like care about this war, we care about the people, we want this war to end, right? So by showing that we actually like care about this war, by taking in the refugees, by giving them all the support that they need, we show that we do not stand for it, right? And we actually deter the aggressor from actually committing the war, because because in the like, if you know that if you attack this country, there's actually going to be a whole group of people that are supporting that country, you're actually less likely to go and attack that country in the first place, right? Because you don't want all these other countries that provide support to this country, let's say for like taking refugees or like providing military support, then actually as an aggressor, I'm actually less likely to go and start this war, right? Because I'm actually afraid of the repercussions. So,
POI, please.
accepted? Oh, it's past 6 minutes. So it's actually a matter of urgency to rehash. It's actually a matter of urgency that we get these refugees that actually have no choice. That actually like, it's not of their will that they want to leave the country. We shouldn't deprive them of these benefits that being a citizen can provide, because we actually care about these people. We actually want to protect human life, and this is something that side opposition clearly fails to do, as all they are interested in doing is protecting their country image, which largely is something that like should not be prioritized over human life. With that, I end my speech. I've never been bothered.
Thank you, DPM. I now call Diallo here.
Panel, I think side government is one of the most biggest drama queen I've ever seen in SSIDC 2024. But before that, let's explain about the status quo that's been happening in current day. So, 3 things that are happening. First, war is happening everywhere, and that's a fact. Second of all, to set an example, the never-ending war of Ukraine and Russia, that is still ongoing until today, and the Palestine-Israel that has still been ongoing and still been ongoing. And many citizens of these war-torn countries are now displaced as the after effects of the war. Yes, this is something that we can see in current status quo. However, side opposition disagrees with the fact that we will expedite the citizenship application of the refugees from the war-torn countries. Now, I'll move on to my rebuttals. 3 rebuttals to be given in today's debate. First, they mentioned that how these refugees are so vulnerable and they are so in need of help. Yes, side opposition also concede to the fact that they are in desperate need of help, that these refugees need aid. However, understand that at least on side opposition, we have a stronger, more concrete, rational decision being made rather than side government just making everything more fast, everything more rapid, every single decision made very rash, which will lower down the probability of these refugees even getting the citizenship application in the first place. Second of all, they say that they will prioritize the refugees. Panel, understand that the prioritizing refugee thingy is already the status quo that is happening currently. Look, in Malaysia, right? In Malaysia, the refugees from Syria is already given their own lane to apply for citizenship. They are basically being prioritized in order for them to get a citizenship. What is something that is so new that side government is trying to propose, right? You guys are basically just like repeating what the status quo and not making any new solutions in order for you guys to improve the status quo right now. And side government also mentioned that if they get this citizenship, they will get better everything, better healthcare, better job, better life or whatsoever, right? Understand that in side opposition, we can also achieve all of those stuff. And therefore, it is not exclusive to their side. Why? You might be wondering. First, this is because the citizenship application that is being made has actually been made by a rational thinking and not such a rash decision. So, what happens? Not by a rash decision. So, if they were to be rejected in the first place, the rejection is actually backed up by a concrete reasoning, not just they being rejected just like that, right? Which is basically what's happening inside government. Now, 2 things to be proven in today's debate. First, we want to prove how expediting the process will increase the burden into the immigration offices. And second of all, we want to prove how our side is able to better ensure these refugees able to get a home. So, what is the stance of side opposition, right? We want to make sure that these applications are able to go through a concrete and rational process so that they are actually able to get a home at the end of the day. Now, I'll move on to my argument. My argument states that how we are able to better ensure that these refugees are able to get a home. So, panel, as we all know, a lot of these people are people with circumstance. They have lost everything in their life. Shelter, water, food, clothing, and even their own family members. So they are basically at the most vulnerable state of their life, right? So yes, side opposition concedes to the fact that they need home and aid from people. So they will migrate to another country so that they are ensured to be back on track again. So as what my first speaker has said, overburdening these officials when expediting citizenship will not have a good outcome. Why? As now they are under pressure to make a fast decisions for a large number of refugees coming to their country. Yes.
Okay, so you say that they will still be able to apply for these jobs, but then are you denying the benefits that citizenship can bring to applying for jobs? You claim that on your side, these people that move to the country will still be able to apply for jobs. Are you denying the benefits that citizenship can bring?
Obviously, if you get a citizenship, you will be able to apply to any job in the first place, right? So what are you trying to say? Okay, whatever. So now I'll move on to how will side government will look like, right? 4 things that will happen and inside government. First, the hundreds of people queuing at the immigration center. There will be hundreds of people queuing at the immigration center. Second of all, you only have 10 officers at the immigration center. Third of all, these officers will be stressed. And fourth, and lastly, the probability to make a rational decision is low. Now, they are afraid that they are not providing. Now, both sides are afraid that we are not able to provide these refugees with a home because of the rash decision made, or we are not able to even help them at the end of the day. So panel, let me tell you how a slow but a safe process for citizenship is better for these refugees. We will make a trade-off. Let's focus on the perspective of the refugees. So we will trade off the slow process. We will trade off how refugees would rather take it slow rather than a rash decision. So let's put at the shoes of these refugees. So when the process of the citizenship is slower, at the very least, they know that their potential to be accepted is higher or is backed up with a rational thinking behind it. So at the very least, the hope is there. However, side government are basically just rejecting them without even thinking twice, and now there's no hope, there's no chance for these refugees to actually get a place at their home at the end of the day. So as a refugee, it's better for you to be rejected with an actually valid reason rather than being rejected because too many people are applying for citizenship, thus causing pressure to be higher for this immigration sector, right? So if we expedite, second thing that will happen. So if we were to expedite the citizenship process, right, the refugees will give up. Why? Because fast process equals to rash decisions. So because every application gets a no, then that shows how they have zero hope and zero chances for these refugees to actually have a home in the first place, because now every single country are actually applying and implementing these expedite citizenship applications, right? So that is all from side opposition. Thank you.
Thank you, Yellow. I now call GovWhip here.
Speech will begin in 3, 2, 1. Chair, side government has clearly won this debate. The second side opposition's first speaker misunderstood the fact that we are not giving these immigration officers a shorter deadline to make their decision. We are expediting this process by actually prioritizing these refugees and putting in more manpower and more work workers into accepting these applications, which my PM and my Deputy Prime Minister has emphasized many times over, but side opposition clearly does not understand. Side opposition claims that we burden these officers by making them decide on the spot, not allowing them to quote-unquote sleep on the decision. But we are simply pushing these citizenship applications of refugees towards the front of the line. Just because pushing these applications forward, putting in more manpower, we do not constrict the rational decision making. Actually, panel, another main reason why these applications take so long in the first place is because of the fact that they need to be gone through urgently. It's not being pushed towards these officers. I'm sure you are all aware that work is done according to how much time you allocate to it. It's undeniable in so many cases that the same amount of work with the same quality can always be done in a shorter amount of time. It just depends on your mindset that you are being put towards it. And as I said, we are not actually giving them a shorter deadline. We are simply telling them, hey, these refugees deserve more priority as they have something to actually run away from. They have something to they actually have to be safe. They need to be safe from where they are coming from, right? Okay. So they also say that on their side, they're actually defending status quo, and actually we are already prioritizing. But then they say not all countries prioritize these refugees, which is exactly what we're fighting for. We are fighting for the fact that not all countries prioritize these refugee citizenship applications. That's why we want to push them towards the front of the line so that it can be gone through faster and more can be accepted.
QI, please.
Yes.
Why is increasing manpower or putting them in front of the line exclusive to only your side?
No, I'm just saying because your second speaker mentioned that contradicted herself, saying that you guys in status quo already prioritize these people, but then she also mentions that some countries don't do this. Okay. And then as I said, putting in more manpower, because on your side, you also say that they have a specific lane for these people. Then on our side, we want to put more workers into that specific lane to speed it up and expedite the process. Okay. They also said that giving them more time to breathe, or not giving them more time to breathe, and giving them a shorter time speed equals to not good decision making. They allow for more mood swings and stuff like that. But actually, these officers, they're trained to be able to make decisions under pressure. Like, are you saying that we do not trust these officers to make good decisions? They are put there for the capabilities they have. Okay. In on-site government, we have the moral high ground because you say that you try to play it off as that oh, we're already prioritizing them, therefore we don't have to put in any extra effort to accept these citizenship applications because we're already prioritizing them. We'll just leave it as it is, right? And because there's so many other people, so we don't actually have to put in more manpower, more resources into accepting them, right? But we have the moral high ground because they need this more. Yes, you do accept that they need to be able to get land and education and healthcare. Yes, that's why we should go through this process more. That's why we should have more people working together as a team on this. Because you cannot deny the fact that the faster this goes and the faster and quicker and more efficient that they accept these applications, the more people can actually be accepted because it is not, as you said, it is not it is a no first before it is a yes. But the faster we go through this no yes, no yes, no yes, there will obviously be more yeses because it just goes faster. Okay. Before I end my speech, are there any problems?
If 100 of your friends ask for 50 ringgit and they want it in 5 minutes, will you say yes to all of them?
I don't really understand how this is relevant to the topic, right? Because how is this relevant? Because you are making up a decision on the spot, right? And it's something that you have to decide between you want to give them this citizenship or not. It's not something about 50 ringgit, and you are just accepting the fact that they have the passport, they can stay in this area and they can stay in this nation under your protection. Sorry. I really don't see how 100 of my friends asking me for 50 ringgit in 5 minutes just so I will not. It doesn't mean that I will accept more of them. It will just mean that I give them the verdict faster. I'm sorry, I don't understand what your POI actually adds to this debate. And with that, I don't think I have any more to say. And with that, I rest my case.
Thank you, Gov Whip. Now calling Op Whip. Here.
few seconds. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, side opposition unequivocally condemns the idea of government not proposing a mechanism that actually makes a difference. Government lives in a world full of sunshines and rainbows. Over that rainbow, you'll find side opposition. Now, where does opposition actually stand in today's debate? We tell you that we want to make sure these applications are able to go a complete process and a rational one. Few things do we have to prove into this debate. 3 things. Number 1, how fastening the process will increase the burden into these parties involved. Number 2, how on government side their proposal makes the citizens worse. And number 3, prove how our side caters towards refugees more. Right? Now let's look at opposition's case. What do we say? What does expediting mean? We tell you how it's fastening the process in terms of not increasing the workload, right? We tell you how this is government's case. We tell you how officers will still have the same amount of workload because the process will be the same now. What does government then have to prove to you in today's debate, right? 3 things. How expediting will actually help two stakeholders today, the refugees and the actual process of gaining citizenship, right? Now, secondly, what trade-off would they make, right? We understand how not every proposal is perfect, and let me tell you what trade-off they actually had to make in today's debate. Now, what's our trade-off on our side? We tell you how the process that status quo practices is already enough, because the process being slow is alright so long that the potential of these refugees being safe is guaranteed. Now, thirdly, what they have to prove to you is how fastening the process actually looks like in their world, and the mechanism is not clear on their side, and we tell you how in opposition's the last 2 speakers, right? And number 4, the trade-off that they actually had to make in this debate, and that was not brought up by these 3 speakers, and it's too late to bring up in reply, right? Is why the benefits of actually achieving it quick is way above the potential of these citizenships to say no, right? Of them not actually gaining citizenship, right? Now, a few responses towards government's whole case, right? Number 1, the whole case revolves around what the benefits of gaining citizenships actually is, right? They tell you how you want to get homes, insurance or visas, right? Now, what they never focused on is how their mechanism will actually work. They failed to give a solid breakdown of their mechanism, giving an assertion on putting them first or prioritizing them, right? They never explain how they would do this based on 2 things. They never explain what other sectors are prioritized that infringes these refugees to actually apply for citizenship, right? This is proved by 2 things as per said my first speaker, right? Number 1, the quota will not be different. The amount of applications will still be the same. And number 2, how status quo prioritizes the refugees, right? Government fails to prove how refugees are not prioritized, and they only assumed and asserted, and this is why we tell you opposition takes this clash, right? Second response is how this debate is not about the benefits of citizenship, right? It's a battle of mechanisms, right? But what does opposition say? We protect status quo and we state why it's okay and why government mechanisms is inefficient, right? Now, what does government then tell you in today's debate? They tell you how they only talk about, like I said, how citizenships are good. Let me explain to you, 2 responses towards that, right? A, citizenships are mutually exclusive. We talk about the benefits on our side too, and the discussion about benefits is not supposed to happen in today's debate. What government has to prove is why these benefits being achieved faster is the most important part of their case, and we never give them to assume and gaslight you guys into thinking we gave arguments on protecting the image of our country is completely invalid, right? So we tell you how government's case was not achieved in the first place, and we tell you how their stance is completely invalid, right? Now let's move on to the issues discussed in today's debate that has been condoned by both sides. Number 1 is the efficiency of the process of gaining citizenship, and secondly is the well-being and perspective of refugees. Notice how we broke down these issues into 2 aspects, right? The practicality and the principal aspect of this debate, right? Let's move on to the practicality, the efficiency of the process of gaining citizenship, right? What does opposition then tell you in our speeches? We tell you how it looks on government's case. We attack their mechanism as a whole, giving a view on the actual efficiency of these officers while officializing these citizenships based on 2 things. Number 1, the moral burden of officers, how officers believe giving a citizenship is most important, and this urge to say no or to disapprove the citizenship request is higher. And number 2, we talk about the external and emotional factors of officers. Officers are humans too. Them telling us that officers are trained is completely invalid, and I'll respond to that in my speech later, right? Them having the burden to work faster than they would usually do causes them to have the incentive to want to finish work early, and we prove how it's directly proportional towards the incentive to say no. We tell you how the incentive increases too, right? Let me restate our trade-off. Even if the status quo process is slow, the higher potential as compared to government's whole case of gaining citizenship weighs heavier in this clash based on two instances, right? A, what the refugees actually feel towards this application, and two, the aspects of these officers in actually helping the citizen, the refugees gain the citizenship, right? Sorry. Alright, a response towards government's argument of rebutting towards ours, what saying officers are not trained. Two responses towards that. Number one, you condone to our characterization of officers going through the same workload, right? You obey and you only say officers will not feel burdened because they are not trained, right? But number two, you then tell us how your mechanism is to increase workload. So we don't understand what you're actually trying to achieve. Do you condone to the fact that officers are trained and they are capable and qualified enough to face these burdens, but at the same time they're proposing the fact that these burdens have to be these burdens can be solved by increasing the workload, right? So we tell you how it's a contradiction on their case. Ladies and gentlemen, what does government have to say in the clash of the efficiency before 6? Sorry, before 6. I'm sorry. 3, 2, 1. What does government have to say in this clash, right? We tell you how they have more manpower and will create a redefined system, right? Two responses towards that. Number one, government fails to really substantialize their mechanism. They assert their mechanism. They never tell us how increasing manpower will create a redefined system. So we tell you, panel, you cannot credit that because they only asserted that, right? Number two, we tell you how the process does not change, and we tell you how it's only the time spent that it changes, right? We talk about how the yeses are going to increase because it's faster, right? We tell you how are these yeses going to be valid in their case? What are the prioritizations and what are the prioritizations of these citizenships actually being approved? That we tell you how these citizenships are slow in the first place because it's gone through a thorough process and a rational one. So if them telling us that yeses will be faster, we tell you how these yeses are not going to be qualified enough for them to actually gain a citizenship. Ladies and gentlemen, I end on this case. We have a vision, we have a mission, and I'll make the right decision.
Thank you, Obwip. Now calling up reply. Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, side opposition is the sunshine and rainbows that we want to give to the citizenship. Them, they are the storm trying to stop us. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look at what the motion actually wants you to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, they already been talking about manpower, increasing prioritization, but they never say well that's only exclusive on their side. Ladies and gentlemen, opposition can say yes, there's already the status quo. Even if it's not the status quo, we can add it because we're not fasting in the process. What the motion wants you to talk about is the trade-off on whether is it better when it is fast or is it better when it's thorough and the application rate. This is what the motion wants us to talk about, but let's look at what they have said in the debate and what they haven't said in the debate. First thing first is there is a huge contradiction coming from side wave. There is changes of stances from each speaker that I don't even understand what their whole case is about. Firstly, they say that urgency is needed. You need to put urgency into these officers. However, then the other speakers say that these people won't feel the point of urgency, and we say that the urgency that they will feel changes the rational decision, and they accept the fact that they are going to be is going to be urgent. That's a contradiction. Secondly, they change a stance from second to whip. Second speaker completely rejects my idea of the mechanism that they were supposed to run. Suddenly whip understands our mechanism, understands our challenge, and adapts to the situation, saying that they're going to add more manpower to these lanes of prioritized officers. So what are you doing? Are you saying that these officers don't exist, or are you saying that you want to put more manpower into the officers that exist? Which one? Do they exist or do they not? This leads to my second thing, is what is actually that mechanism that is so strong, that is so important to them because their whole case rolls around why citizenship is so important. Yes, healthcare, yes, job, yes, visas. However, that's what side opposition is trying to push for, and we have said to you why the possibility of that citizenship is a lot higher on our side because of the rational decisions, the thorough process that these officers are able to take, the time these officers are able to take to get convinced by these applications. They already say, yes, citizenship is good, yes, okay, it's good. So understand that this motion wants to talk about why is it so important that it's so fast. What you guys should have thought is the urgency of the situation, what really happens to them. What you guys should have said is what if these people die before they get a citizenship. These are the things that you need to touch upon and trade off upon in this debate. But what did they say? Healthcare is so important. Russia is going to invade Ukraine. Ukraine people will die. No! That is exactly what they are talking about. So which side actually understands the debate? Which side actually debates the debate? Which side actually motions the motion? So let's look at what side opposition wants to give you today. We said that this motion will take this situation, will take these refugees into a harder state, into a state of no chances because they've tried all applications, but all applications are so fast and so irrational they get a no. They have no chance of actually moving anymore and they need to stay in their country which are war-torn. That is a win on our side, but that's a loss for the refugees because of side government. Secondly, we said to you that we have proven to you the irrationality and the time frame that put pressure onto these officers because of the shorter time frame that they seem not to believe what the motion is for. So ladies and gentlemen, after my whole speeches, after the 3 or 4 speeches made by my side, the opposition, the octopus is finally happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Op reply. Now calling Gov reply. Here.
Allah.
Can I get a few seconds again?
Okay.
Great. My speech will begin in 3, 2, 1. Chair, once again, side opposition has baffled me with their sheer lack of morality and their selfish desire to protect their country image. It is clear as day that they would rather disregard these refugees as humans just to preserve their country's pristine image. So it is clear that on their side, they do not have a vision, therefore they do not have a mission, and therefore panel, we actually do trust you to make the right decision. So we show you that on our world, we do not stand against war and that we want these refugees to be safe. So we want to provide equal job opportunities and give more financial support. So they say that we have to prove why this is faster, why it's so important, why it's a matter of urgency, but we have already done this so many times. We've already said that these refugees are actually women, children, vulnerable citizens of society that are actually already not so financially capable of making the money for themselves because the bread maker of the house, the breadwinner of the house, the man is actually not present because he's drafted into the war. So when you take these women, children, and elderly people, they actually don't already have a lot of means to make money for themselves. So therefore, it's even more important that we actually provide them the financial support when they are citizens, because these elderly people, even if they face health problems, or if the children face health problems, or if the woman faces health problems, we actually are there to provide them free healthcare immediately. Whereas on their side, you actually have to wait a really long time to get this all these other benefits like free healthcare because of their desire to protect their country's image. So on our side, we actually provide a stable pathway for these refugees who are already displaced, already do not have a home in the new country that they are in. We actually provide them a way so that they are not forced to work harder than a normal citizen. They're not forced to pay more than a citizen just for the same thing. So we actually want to provide these vulnerable people who are already unable to properly provide for themselves an easier pathway. So on their side, they're actually living in a they claim that we are living in a world of sunshine and rainbows, but actually they're actually living in a fantasy world, right? Because they claim that on their side, they actually believe that these women, children, vulnerable people are actually able to make the money for themselves. Therefore, it's not so urgent that we provide these essential benefits to them. But on our side, we have already proven time and time again that it's actually required that we actually provide these benefits, these financial support to these refugees because they are already in a place of vulnerability. So they also say that on our side, they give a very weird claim that on obviously that they asked us if the original office workers actually exist or not. But then of course they do exist, right? Then they say that if we are making more rash decisions because there's a shorter time frame. But once again, I don't really think you understand our mechanism, because obviously we have said that we are just increasing the manpower. There are more decisions being made at the same time. It's not one person has to make so many decisions. They say that it's actually a burden to these immigration officers because they'll make irrational or emotional decisions. But then on our side, we're actually reducing the workload, right? Because we're actually bringing like a lot more people, we're bringing a lot more resources into the citizen application process. So then there are more decisions being made, it's more efficient. These refugees can actually apply for citizenship even faster, and on their side, they actually fall on every level because they actually do not like say why it actually not being faster is good for the refugees. And we have proved time and time again that when it's faster, these vulnerable citizens are actually able to properly live out their lives, they're actually properly able to get healthcare, education. We already proved why it's so urgent that these are faster. Because once again, if like Russia invades Ukraine and they want to take back all the Ukrainian citizens, if you're already a citizen of my country, I can actually go and protect you. I can actually say, you are my citizen, right? You're not like Russia's citizen. I don't have to send you over, right? So I can actually protect you. And so therefore, I rest my case. Proud to propose, panel, please make the right decision. Thank you.
Okay.